I'm going to talk today about my favorite crop. I've been growing Jerusalem artichokes for 40 years. They're a very versatile crop, and I've discovered ways that I don't think anybody else figured out how to utilize them. Jerusalem artichokes are actually native into Saskatchewan and utilized by natives and then settlers. Everybody used to have a patch of them in their garden, and you cook them with or like potatoes. There's lots of places to tell you all the nutritional contents of a Jerusalem artichoke, so I won't go into that. I've always had them out yield my potatoes 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 to 1. In the picture here, we're digging up some plants that I grew with no inputs and very poor soil. This is the yield I was getting from them. This is a setup I used. This ancient disc is probably from the 40s or 50s off a Simplicity two-wheel garden tractor. You can see it's adjustable in the height and angle. The handle was my idea. Maybe one of the best farming implements I've ever used. You can start out with just putting enough soil on to cover them, come back a week later and adjust the machine a little bit, and murder a bunch more weeds as you go by. If you're planning to do some artichokes, you can see this chickling vetch, which is one of the highest nitrogen fixing legumes. I haven't done this before on this particular crop, but I throw a few seeds between each plant, and they grow into a bush about a foot around and choke out the weeds and supply nitrogen. I've heard that you can eat the seeds, but don't count me as being an expert. One of the things I've used Jerusalem artichokes for is I had 3 acres with extreme wind and lots of snow drifts, and I literally had a 4-foot hedge around the entire property, and it worked an absolute perfect snow fence. I had 4 or 5 feet of snow for 10 or 15 feet around the fence, and then none in my yard. Another use I figured out for them was planting rows at an angle downhill across the field, and they actually deflected the frost that came down the valley, and I'd get 20 or 30 feet of good frost protection on the leeward side of these rows. And another thing I've used them for quite often is planting early Jerusalem artichoke crops and then planting peas in between them and using the Jerusalem artichoke as a trellis for the peas. I've fed Jerusalem artichoke tubers to all kinds of animals. Everything loves them. Feed them to milk cows and goats, and you get a couple pounds more milk the next day. Pigs and chickens and ducks like them, but the ducks have a little bit of problem. At one time, I had a couple 2,500-pound oxen, and I was growing these commercially, and we had hundreds of pounds of not marketable tubers, and I'd feed these to the oxen. They got totally addicted to the artichokes. They'd come running when they saw you with the buckets, like a couple of puppies at supper time. A friend of mine grew a whole bunch and had a birthday party for 8 and 9-year-old kids from the city. They had some pigs, and the kids would dig up some artichokes and smash them and throw them over the fence to the pigs. Anyone who knows pigs knew they get very excited, and the city kids just love this. Thought it was the best thing ever. One of the kids decided to ask his mom if we can take some home and plant them in our yard. Mom finally gave in, took the tubers home and planted them in the yard. And the next spring, they came up in the yard, and Mom looked at them and said, "Those are the damn weeds I've been trying to get rid of for the last 10 years. I have planted some Jerusalem artichokes all over in guerrilla gardening, and quite often they come up, but the deer love them so much that it's really hard to get a decent crop going. I've seen deer dig through frozen hard snow to eat dead dried stalks. Another thing I've used artichokes for is I had a 6-bedroom house that had 4 feet of brick all around the outside in the sunniest part of Alberta. Those bricks would soak up so much heat that it was almost unbearable in the summertime. I planted 6 feet of Jerusalem artichokes all around the house and never had to turn the air conditioner on again. This tall variety would be even better, give a little bit more shade. I have shredded chokes for my worms, and they really love them. And for some reason, earthworms seem to love to curl up next to sunchokes in the ground. I have had 30 varieties of all different colors and sizes and shapes of Jerusalem artichokes. 40 years I've been trying to save nice round ones that make it easy for pickles. To wash them for pickles, I just use a hand rolling cement mixer, throw the chokes in there with water and roll it around, and they come out nice and clean. Or just use a bucket with a stiff hose. If you want to expand your Jerusalem artichoke patch, just rototill them. I have planted them in ground where I was going to have pigs in the next year, and the pigs work really hard picking up all the artichokes. When the Europeans first took them back to Europe, people would plant them, the cows would eat the stalks down, then you turn the pigs out, and the pigs would eat all the tubers, and then usually there was enough seed that pigs missed that you just level it out and it'd come up again. No need to do it all over again. One of the best things, you can leave them in the ground all winter and they do just fine. They actually improve with cold. I've never had the need or opportunity to try making silage with artichokes, but I think it would work, especially if you alternated a row with comfrey with artichokes. I think it would make fantastic silage or hay. My first interest in Jerusalem artichokes way back when people were making fuel alcohol with Jerusalem artichokes. Corn would only make half as much alcohol as Jerusalem artichokes and didn't need any reseeding or any inputs. Anyway, it's probably the best survival crop you can get. It's worth a space in your garden. Thank you.